When you picture climate change's impact on wildlife, your mind probably goes straight to the polar bear, right? On that lonely, shrinking piece of ice. But the tragic milestone, the very first mammal we know we've lost for good because of climate change, well, it was a much, much smaller creature.
So what was it? And what does its story really tell us about the fragile world we all share?
To get to the bottom of that, we really need to understand the huge impact climate change is having on our planet's ecosystems and how it's pushing so many species right to the very edge. All right, so here's our roadmap. We'll start with our planet's delicate balance. Then we'll look at the hard data behind our warming world. From there, we'll see what happens when the dominoes start to fall, what the very real human cost of all this is, and finally, we'll talk about the future and the choices we still have.
Okay, first things first. Before we can really grasp the threat, we have to understand this intricate web of life we all depend on. So, let's talk about what an ecosystem actually is.
At its heart, an ecosystem is a community. It can be something absolutely massive, like a whole national park, or it can be as tiny as a single fallen log in the forest. It's all about how living things and their physical environment are connected, Every single piece depends on every other piece to work.
And these ecosystems, they aren't just pretty to look at. They provide what scientists call ecosystem services. These are benefits that are absolutely critical for our own lives. Think about it. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the wood for our homes, it all comes from healthy, working ecosystems. They are literally the foundation of our entire economy and our well-being.
All right, so now let's introduce the big global stressor that's putting all of that in jeopardy, the incredibly fast warming of our planet.
Here's the key number you need to know. Since the Industrial Revolution started, the planet's average temperature has gone up by more than 1 degree Celsius. Now I know what you're thinking. 1 degree? That doesn't sound like much. But for a planet, that's like a person running a high fever. It's a huge shock to the system, and we're already seeing the effects everywhere.
But here's the real kicker. It's not just that it's warming, it's how fast. Just look at this. The rate of warming since 1981 has more than doubled what it was in the century before. For the past 40 years or so, our planet has been heating up at a speed that is just off the charts.
So, where is all this heat-trapping gas coming from? Well, if we look at the United States, the biggest piece of the pie is transportation. That's our cars, trucks, and planes. Right behind that is the electricity we use to power everything, followed by industrial activity. It really connects this huge, global problem right back to our everyday lives.
And this brings us right to the heart of it. What happens when you put this much pressure on those delicate systems? Who are the first casualties when the dominoes really start to fall?
And here it is, the answer to our first question, the Bramble K. melames. Its story is it's so powerful because it wasn't some dramatic event. This little rodent just vanished. It lived on one tiny, low-lying island in the Great Barrier Reef, and rising sea levels literally washed its home away. The ocean just swallowed it, taking away its food, its shelter, everything. It's now officially recognized as the first mammal to go extinct because of human-caused climate change.
Now, to be clear, extinction itself is part of Earth's history. Our planet has gone through 5 massive extinction events in its past, caused by things like giant asteroid impacts or world-changing volcanic eruptions. These were cataclysmic events that played out over thousands or even millions of years.
But, and this is a really big but, here's the difference. Scientists estimate that what's happening today is happening hundreds or even thousands of times faster than that natural background rate. This isn't some slow geologic process. We are watching a crisis unfold in our own lifetimes.
And the Bramble K. melames is far from alone. The impacts are hitting species in all sorts of different ways. For polar bears, yep, it's the sea ice they need for hunting. For green sea turtles, warmer sand means almost all their babies are being born female, a ticking time bomb. Walruses, with no ice to rest on, are crowding onto beaches, leading to deadly stampedes. And Chinook salmon, the streams are just getting too warm for them to make it home to spawn. Each one is another domino tipping over.
Look, this isn't just a tragedy for the animals. When these ecosystems start to break down, it comes with a direct and very high cost for us. So let's talk about how this actually affects our economy and our lives.
Let's just put a number on it to make it real. Just one single impact. Damage to coral reefs from warming, acidifying oceans is projected to cost the U.S. recreation industry $140 billion by the end of the century. And that is just one industry from one impact.
And those ripple effects are spreading everywhere. The shellfish industry is getting hammered. Our farms are threatened by intense heat and drought. The fishing industry is seeing fish stocks either collapse or move to new waters. These aren't some far-off problems. This is economic damage that's happening right now.
And you know what? The cost isn't always measured in dollars. For indigenous communities whose cultures and very survival are woven together with the natural world, the impacts are devastating. When the animals they've depended on for thousands of years move or disappear, it threatens a way of life that goes back generations.
Okay, this is a pretty grim picture, I know, but it is not hopeless. The same science that shows us the problem is also showing us the solutions. A different path forward is still possible.
So, what can we do? Well, on a local level, there are real steps we can take to help our ecosystems become more resilient. Simple things like cleaning our boats and gear to stop invasive species, planting native plants in our own yards, supporting larger conservation plans in our communities. Every little bit helps strengthen that web of life.
We are, without a doubt, at a crossroads. The science couldn't be clearer. And the amazing thing is, the solutions we need to fix this already exist. We have the technology. The story of the Bramble Cay melomys is a warning. It's proof that extinction from climate change isn't some far-off, hypothetical threat. It's already here. So, we know the problem, and we know the solutions. The only real question left is, will we have the will to act? Will we act in time?